Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in the Maritime Academy in Harlingen. This will be an interesting broadcast, I think, with a lot of engaging speakers and with your participation. My name is Bert Vos, I'm your host for today. And let me explain you a little bit what we are going to do this afternoon. In the first part of this broadcast, we'll look back at the project IWTS 2.0, and we highlight the achievements of the project and also the challenges. And of course, and this is very important, I think, we'll take a look in the future. Will there be an IWTS 3.0? We'll see. Now, I promised you already that this is not just a broadcast. This will be a broadcast with your participation. And as you can see when you're watching right now, you not only see this live stream, so-called, but you also see an interactive part, which is called Slido. And in this part of your screen, you see the possibility to ask questions. We have a Q&A, and there will also be some interactivity, word cloud, polls. You mentioned it, and it will be in this broadcast. And we have a chat moderator. It's Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hello.
And you will see Peter working basically for you all the time, getting your questions and replying. And we'll do our utmost to reply and to get back to the questions, as many questions as possible. So maybe just to start, let's start with one slide or with one interactive part. We want to know you a little bit better, to learn you. So our first question is very easy. Where are you based? Where are you from? Where are you looking from, watching from? So this is a good moment to put it in the Slido right now. And we'll see. And I give you a little bit time to answer. And there are not many people participating right now. You see Göteborg, Deventer, there we go. Kijk, look, Rouen, France, Harlingen, obviously. Maybe even people inside this academy. Viborg, Denmark, Brussels. So this is already a great start. Drachten. And I like the one at home. Probably most of us are at home, maybe not all of us. You see, Dracht is getting bigger and bigger. Okay, for me, this is very clear. We understand how the interactivity works, no problem. And now, what's maybe even more interesting, which organization are you representing? Who are you? From which organization? And we'll ask Peter to start. Yes, I think it's a good moment to start the second interactivity question. What kind of organization do you represent? And I give you a little bit of time. Are you a ship owner, freight owner? Other? And it's not only for us here in the studio, of course, it's for everybody. It's nice to know that you're not watching alone, we're watching together. Yes, it's working. It's doing its magic. Already 13 people voted. Now, of course, I am interested in what is other. So when you make such a poll and then suddenly other is like the biggest category. So what is other, basically? If you feel like answering us in the Q&A, in the chat, what does it mean? What is other? You're more than welcome. So this is the interactive part. Now, it's very easy. If you feel like asking a question or posing a remark during this broadcast, please do it. And there is some, and then I stop about the interactivity. There is an important thing which is called upvoting. If you see a question or remark which you like, just give it thumbs up, and it will get higher and higher in our ranking. And then Peter, our chat moderator, then he knows exactly that this is not for us so much, but for you, an important question. So this is the introduction. Basically, the program, there will be some Q&A in the middle. And after we have a small, nice other interactive surprise, but I'll tell you later. So let's go now to our first speaker who is live in the studio. And our next speaker, he combines two of his biggest passions, education and ships. As a young guy, he seemed to be destined to be a philosopher or a psychologist. But he followed his heart and he bought his own sailing ship. From that moment on, ships took a central role in his life. Let me introduce you to Arjen Mintjes, Director of the Maritime Academy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Second warm welcome to the end conference of our IWTS conference and project. Here, broadcasted from the Simulator Center of the Maritime Academy in Harlingen. Of course, we had liked to welcome you here physically, to be here present in our premises, in our beautiful city of Harlingen, showing you our old city and also our old ports. But due to obvious reasons, this is not possible. That's why we offer you the second best option, an interactive, digital, live, blended conference, lasting almost 2 hours. I'm proud that we, as the Maritime Academy Harlingen, were in the lead of this project. We were the lead beneficiary. But I'm more proud at all the results of this project done by all our partners. The cooperation between the partners was splendid. And this all under the lead of our project manager, Jörn Bol. I'm happy that you are now looking at the results. We will show them, and I'm sure afterwards you will be surprised by what you can reach cooperating in such a way in such an interactive project under the title Modal Shift is a Mindshift. I wish you a very good conference. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Arjen. Now, may I introduce you to Sander de Rauwe. Sander de Rauwe is the vice governor of the province of Friesland, which is the province where we are right now, here in Holland. And after his contribution, we'll have a live contribution by speaker by Zoom from Belgium. So let's first take a look at the contribution of Sander de Rauwe.
Goedemiddag dames en heren, van harte welkom op deze digitale conferentie met elkaar. Mijn naam is Sander de Rauwe en ik mag u toespreken hier vanuit de Maritieme Academie in Harlingen, onze havenhoofdstad van de provincie Friesland. Dit project van Interreg North Sea Regions, daar kijken we vandaag op terug, maar we kijken ook vooruit als het aan ons ligt. Ik wil u allereerst dank zeggen voor alles wat jullie mogelijk gemaakt hebben. Als provincie Friesland zijn wij er een hele trotse deelnemer van geweest en hebben we met jullie mogen zien hoe die mindshift heeft plaatsgevonden, hoe we meer vervoer over het water voor elkaar krijgen. We hebben kunnen zien hoe we vaarwegen goed kunnen benutten. Hoe we van de weg naar het water kunnen overstappen. En juist in deze provincie kan dat heel goed. Want wie Friesland zegt, zegt water. Met de binnenvaartsector zijn wij heel goed vertegenwoordigd. Niet alleen met de Maritieme Academie, hier de opleiding voor de jeugd van de toekomst in Harlingen, maar ook met heel veel bedrijven die actief zijn in deze sector. Het project IWTS laat ons zien wat mogelijk is. Als provincie willen wij ons profileren als een circulaire provincie. En in Europa doen we dat met elkaar via de Green Deal. En wij doen daar aan mee. Ook in de toekomst. Zo kijk ik met u uit naar een vervolgproject. Waar we bijvoorbeeld met IWTS 3.0 gaan kijken naar duurzame brandstoffen. Elektrisch varen. Autonoom varen. Waterstof. U weet het volgens mij allemaal veel beter. Maar ik zeg u als provincie en als overheid, wij staan achter jullie. Ga door met innoveren. Ga door met elkaar opzoeken langs de kust over verschillende landen. Wij doen met jullie mee. Ik wens ons een hele goede, mooie conferentie vandaag toe. Ik groet jullie hartelijk hier vanuit Harlingen. En ik zou zeggen, tot ziens. On Chen. Wij doen weer mee met 3.0. Doet u ook weer mee? Heel graag. Tot ziens.
Now let's go live via Zoom to Belgium, to Mr. Nick Delmeijere. And Nick Delmeijere is, of course, of the IWT platform, live from Belgium. And I see him already here in our studio. Let's go live to Nick Delmeijere. Please, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know who everybody is. I feel a bit like on a blind date. I'm talking to everybody and nobody at the same time, which is a bit of a strange feeling. But let me thank you first for having the possibility to talk to you. And let me thank also Danny van Rijkel, because he is the one who introduced this interesting project to me. So what are we about? European Inland Waterway Transport Platform. It's a foundation founded by two European associations called EBU and ESO. And we represent inland the barge owners, barge operators in what we call the Brussels arena. We work on topics like the social aspects, the education aspects, the nautical and technical aspects, safety on board on vessels, the greening of the fleet, and obviously also on the upcoming and challenging modal shift. And I heard already some interesting slogans, I would say. Mental shift is a modal shift, or modal shift is a mental shift. It can't be put better. And we as a platform do everything what will be needed to stimulate that modal shift and get the support from the European institutions. But at the same time, it will be, of course, up to us, barge owners, barge operators, barge innovators, to make this come true as well. If we are not innovative, creatives ourselves, there will never or the results will be insufficient. So getting support from Brussels is not enough. Getting money from Brussels in order to realize the modal shift will not be enough. If we as an industry don't start increasing creativity in terms of what goods are to be transported more via the waterways rather than by road. If we don't look at the construction and the design of the vessels and how the way they are automated or which fuels to use, we are nowhere. And if, of course, we don't make use of all of the waterways, the bigger ones, the small ones, the rivers, the canals, we don't get nowhere either. So I'm very much with you, and I'm very eager to learn about what you have been doing during the course of this project. So let's get going, I would say.
So let's get going. Thank you very much. I think those are very important words. And what is also, I think, important is that you're talking about the small waterways as well. Mr. Nick Delmeijere talked about the smaller waterways, and it's not just for nothing, because in his country, Belgium, of course, there are a lot of small waterways, especially like here in our country in Holland as well. Which is kind of a nice bridge also to our next speakers who are not live in the studio, but actually by video. So first of all, let me thank you, Mr. Nick Delmeijere, for being with us. I hope you have some time to follow the rest of the program. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon with us together. So talking about small waterways, our next speakers, they will be explaining how they're using smart shipping. Smart shipping as an efficient way of transportation. May I introduce you to Dominique van Hekke, Managing Director of the Vlaamse Waterweg, and to Lydia Peters. She is the Flemish Minister of Mobility and Public Works.
We hebben vastgesteld dat er heel wat potenties zijn op onze kleine waterwegen die vandaag nog niet benut worden. Met het ontwikkelen van een nieuwe vloot en gekoppeld aan nieuwe doelstellingen kunnen wij dus nieuwe markten bereiken in Vlaanderen.
De Vlaamse Waterweg heeft inderdaad volop ingezet op het Smart Shipping programma. En ik ben heel trots om nu te kunnen zeggen dat we in Europa zelfs koploper zijn met dat Smart Shipping programma. Koploper door het feit dat wij als eerste de digitale basis hebben uitgerold. Dat Smart Shipping programma is gebaseerd op 3 pijlers. Enerzijds slimme infrastructuur, anderzijds slimme vaartuigen en de derde pijler is de slimme communicatie. We hebben 1000 kilometer bevaarbare waterlopen, maar ruim 476 kilometer van die bevaarbare waterlopen zijn kleine waterlopen. En daar is het heel belangrijk dat we dan die kleine duwvaartuigen kunnen inzetten, onbemand, individueel, al dan niet in konvooi. Kortom, heel belangrijk dat we die ten volle kunnen inzetten en zodoende het potentieel van de kleine waterwegen, om dat ook ten volle te benutten. Ik ben er zeker van dat dat inderdaad een belangrijke incentive is, dat we inzetten op die innovatie, op die duurzaamheid. Vandaag de dag doen nog heel veel bedrijven hun transport via de weg. Het inzetten op die innovatie, op die vernieuwing. Ik denk dat dat sowieso heel belangrijk is, vooral om nog meer bedrijven ertoe aan te zetten om hun goederen te transporteren via onze waterwegen. Onze wegen die slibben allemaal dicht, terwijl we eigenlijk vaststellen dat ruim 80% van onze bedrijven op minder dan 10 kilometer van een waterweg zitten. En we zullen nog meer de bedrijven moeten warm maken om effectief in te zetten om transport te doen via de binnenvaart en zeker ook via onze kleine waterwegen.
So, as I maybe yes or maybe not told you before, we are here in the Maritime Academy in Harlingen, but we're also in a very special place. This is the simulation center. This is the place where you can see where the simulation is actually playing or going on right now. And there's a connection, a very strong connection with our next speaker. Because our next speaker, he strongly believes in a hands-on approach, learning by doing. Learning by experiencing and learning by feeling it yourself. Our next speaker made the impossible possible. Because of him and his team, of course, you can now be the captain on a huge vessel, just here. Or you make a trip on the full electrical barge, Green Wave. He is the mastermind of the place where we are right now. Mr. Simulator, head of the Inland Navigation Simulation Center. The stage is yours, Jorn Bol.
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Jorn Bol. I'm the head of the project department and the simulator center here at the Maritime Academy in Harlingen. In that capacity, I'm also the project manager for the IWTS 2.0 project overall. I would like to give you a short presentation, or I would like to answer 2 hypothetical questions, which are IWTS, why and how. So why did we do this project and how did we do it? The why is astonishingly easy because there is an attention gap for the navigation on smaller waterways. We, as an institute, would like to see our students to go into a future where they can earn money with the trade they learn here. And we are also very much involved in numerous European projects in order to harmonize the education and training for these young students. We came across that most of these projects are really aiming on the large main corridors, the 10T corridors, not so much to the on the smaller waterways, which link smaller cities, smaller industrial centers with the main corridors. So we would like to facilitate a model shift from road to water by making water more accessible for the industry or for the transport industry. How did we do it? We managed to get together a consortium out of 10 partners out of the North Sea region, from Sweden, from Germany, from the Netherlands, Belgium, and also from Great Britain. These partners are all involved in inland navigation in one form or another. So within our consortium, we identified 2 main groups. The one group is participants from countries where there is an existing and productive inland navigation industry like Germany, Belgium and the Netherlands, where there is a potential to broaden this sector towards smaller waterways that are currently underused. The second group is Sweden and Great Britain, where there is at this moment the potential for inland waterway transport, but it doesn't happen really or very much there. One of our partners is the Canal River Trust, based in Great Britain, who managed to realize freight traffic on the air and Calder navigation for the first time in decades. Another partner is SSPA in Gothenburg in Sweden. They have a beautiful river there, the Göta-Alf, which is perfectly capable to host also larger vessels, and there is also a demand for freight transport there. But this waterway is currently classified as a maritime waterway, so there is not really regulation in place for inland navigation. Right now, they're on the brink of a breakthrough to implement inland navigation there. So this is basically what we have done in IWTS 2.0.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Can I ask you a few questions about this very particular place where we are in?
You may.
Okay, thank you. So it seems to be very important for the academy right here. So why is it so important? Like the simulation on it by itself.
Okay, the simulator is, of course, this backdrop can no longer be ignored. The simulator, first and foremost, it's an instrument we use for the everyday education, the practical education of our students. These are young boys and girls from the age of 13 who really take the first steps towards being a captain, a skipper on board of an inland waterway. But at the same time, we find this instrument of, very useful, of utmost importance for our IWTS project, because we could visualize and also test certain model shifts that we envisaged or that we planned in order to show the stakeholders that these model shifts are technically possible. Can you get there with the ship? That's not unimportant of a question if you want to get somewhere with the ship to load or unload cargo. So yes, that's it's our favorite instrument, and since it's my department here, it's also my favorite instrument, I have to say.
So when I understand well, you really load like different elements in the simulation, and then you are just really experimenting here if it will work or not. Or is it just playing? Do you know before it's really happening right here?
It's really happening right here. What we do, for instance, one of the nicest outcomes of this project was the Green Wave fully electric barge that is currently tested in Ghent. We have a simulator model of this barge in this simulator, and we have the medieval inner city of Ghent also in the simulator. So we can take the boat for a stroll through Ghent. All the bridges that are working in Ghent are also working here. So I can open and close bridges. I can play with currents. I can play with high tide, low tide. The possibilities are endless. And we're striving for the maximum amount of realism in the simulator. It remains a simulation, so absolute realism is not possible, but we get there.
Cool. And where are we right now?
Right now, where we actually are now. So this is Harlingen. We're on an 86-meter vessel just through the TS Kedingssluis on our way to Leeuwarden on the Van Haringsma Canal in Friesland in the Netherlands.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is kind of a dream atmosphere to make a broadcast. This is like the best backdrop we ever had in making a broadcast. Let's go back to some very interesting videos right now. It's time to highlight the highlights of the IWTS project. We'll start with a video about best practices in IWT logistics in Belgium and Sweden. And then after, we'll have a model shift showcase of dairy products in Leeuwarden, here in Friesland, with a live voiceover of Robert van Hasselt of the Maritime Academy. But first, we'll start, as I promised, with a video about best practices, logistics in Belgium and Sweden.
I'm very glad with this project because it guarantees the accessibility of the city and it guarantees the quality of life. So it's a combination that is very important. In Ghent we have many rivers, we should use them, and so this is a very interesting project.
We have ambitions when it comes to urban city logistics in a sustainable way, and this boat and what this boat can do is one of the fields to work on. I think it has a lot of potential, not only for building materials, but also for deliveries to other shops, to cafes, restaurants. So there's a lot to explore and a lot to work on.
Hello, I'm Peter from the company Urban Waterway Logistics. Together with a Dutch partner, we have developed this boat in the European project Inland Waterway Transport Solutions. This boat has arrived in Ghent and will be here running during the next 5 years.
We thank Europe for the cooperation and the support in the development of this boat in Ghent.
SSB is the Swedish partner in the IVTS2 project. And compared to other countries in the project, Sweden has a very low share of inland waterway transportation. Actually, it's under 1%. And despite well-functioning inland waterways and a long tradition in exporting and importing goods by the sea, there is no pure inland waterway traffic in Sweden. And in the Swedish part of the project, the focus is on the river Göta älv and Lake Vänern. While goods are transported on the river, mainly to international ports, so far no inland waterway vessels are used. And current shipment between the port of Gothenburg and inland ports uses rail and road rather than the waterways. So in the project we have followed two entrepreneurs, Avatar and Sea Advice, that identified a potential for a container shuttle between Port of Gothenburg and inland ports, namely Vänersborg and Trollhättan in the northern part of Göta älv, as well as Kristinehamn in the northern part of Lake Vänern. And these entrepreneurs have made tremendous efforts to start up inland waterway transport services. But so far there are no container shuttles in place in this region. And to facilitate startup of such services and understand more about the potential in Sweden, we have involved representatives in our work from the seaport, inland port, freight owners, freight forwarders, shipping companies, as well as authorities in Sweden.
In the Swedish part of the IWTS 2.0 project, we have seen that several types of actors need to be involved to realize ship-to-inland waterway transport, including authorities, ports, shipping operators, cargo owners, and freight forwarders. Cooperation among actors is essential to have access to resources needed. Foremost, authorities need to take an active role. Policymakers need to support shift of transport to water, simplifying regulation and redesigning fees. Use of inland waterway transport brings many benefits, but authorities cannot expect inland waterway transports to materialize if neither market nor regulatory conditions change. Specifically in Sweden, regulations have lacked attention to issues related to inland waterway transport. Recent initiatives do support inland waterways, and a role within the Swedish Transport Administration, responsible for increasing the use of waterways, has been introduced. In Sweden, industrial actors have spearheaded initiatives to introduce inland waterway transport services, but they have faced many challenges. Authorities need to simplify regulations and minimize disincentives such as piloting fees. Costs need to be competitive with transport on land. High port charges can impede new inland waterway transport services by making it less competitive. Ports should be positive, as increased inland waterway transport is an opportunity for them to get more work. But Swedish ports are unused to inland waterway transport. On the positive side, we have noted a willingness in some ports to negotiate port charges. We also found frequency of service to be very important, which requires sufficient goods volume, preferably in both directions. Finally, environmental benefits are important. In the IWTS 2.0 project, we found that actors preferred an emission-free solution, and in response, SSPA has developed an emission-free vessel concept. When inland waterway transport is less developed, such as in Sweden, restoring confidence in inland shipping is crucial, raising awareness amongst stakeholders of its benefits. Perception of inland waterway transport clearly needs to change. It is important that companies not yet using inland waterway transport view it as a viable option. Awareness raising and knowledge building continue to be tackled persistently through promotion, education, and lobbying. We strongly believe that inland waterway transport can be competitive, but many challenges have so far impeded its use. Even so, valuable lessons have been learned and initiatives continue also in other parts of Sweden. Continued attention to the opportunities and increased governmental support put Sweden in a better position than 3 years ago.
So there is a question. Jorn, the question is for you, of course. Do you also train people who are working in IWTS already?
Short answer, yes. Even here on the simulator, we have various shipping companies who develop training courses with us to meet specific needs. For instance, a river cruise company whose vessels are rather big and are steered by azimuth propulsion, which is a bit different than your everyday garden variety inland vessel. So we installed this here on the simulator and it works just fine. Another client that we have is a company that operates huge push boats or push convoys on the River Rhine, and they use this simulator to train their captains to enter a specific port on the Rhine with these push boats. This is used to give their captains the extra bit of confidence to be able to perform this rather demanding maneuver. But also they can show captains to be or their younger personnel what it's like to steer a vessel into this port for the future, to show them what their possibilities are. Another partner that we have is a ferry company here on the Waddensee in Friesland, where we also do training with. So yes, we actually train a lot of existing IWT professionals here on the simulator.
And when I'm watching this broadcast and I think like this is something for us, this is something for my company. So how does it go from there? And who do they reach you? How?
Call me. Yes, get in touch with us. We're always willing to talk. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
clear. So thank you, Hans, for this question. Let's go to the next video, which is also looking at Ghent and the Green Wave, but in a little bit different perspective. So, and we, yes, Robert, we need you for this urgently. We embark on a small trip with live voiceover as promised from Robert van Hasselt.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. I'm Robert van Hasselt. I'm the program manager from the Maritime Academy Harlingen, in this case IWTS project. We'll just look a quick exercise doing by showing a model shift. This is the model shift of the city in Leeuwarden. There is a dairy factory. They have their products that needs to be transported to the terminal. Normally they go by lorries, which means that every day 50 lorries are traveling the city center of Leeuwarden, and we were looking, it was part of one of the pilots in the IWTS project, if we could do this by water. Well, to do this in practice is of course very expensive and complicated. So we did it also in the simulator. And here you can see how it goes. You can see the movie, you can see how we pass ports, how we pass bridges. Here we follow the canal in the city of Leeuwarden. and we go through the bridge, which you can see now. It really works. It opens, it closes, and if you don't navigate well, then you have a collision without real damage, only digital damage, of course. Well, after all, the conclusion of this exercise was that the modal shift is possible from a sailing perspective. So this is what we learned about it, and it helps us to make a mental model shift. We could see now that it could work. Here we arrive at the terminal where the dairy products could be transported to the ship. When we are loaded, we go backwards through the bridge, and we make a turnaround when we leave this small canal, and then it goes back to the factory. Well, this is a model shift that we worked out digitally. This is a kind of digital twinning we did for more things, also the Ghent model shift. We had other model shifts for a concrete factory that were already implemented in practice, in real practice, and one with cattle feed. So yeah, we were quite successful in enabling model shifts. I think we are at the end of the movie almost. So yeah, I think I'll just look how it finishes, but then I'll give the word back to Bert.
So we are just finishing our trip. Thank you, Robert, for the live voiceover of this trip. And let's continue now to education. Because developing is one thing, but passing on our knowledge to others, that's another thing. And let us dive together into two very interesting training courses. One is here at the Maritime Academy, and the other is a German initiative for RWT Logistics as part of the regular logistics education of Bremer Port, Bremerhaven.
Welcome to the last part of our highlight reel. In this section, I would like to talk about the fifth work package of our IWTS 2.0 project. The work package was mainly focused on education and training for the transport on smaller waterways and what smaller waterways can do for the logistics chain. The work package was split up in two segments. The first segment aimed on the role of future logistics decision makers. The second one was aimed on nautical personnel and future skippers.
Modal shift is mindshift, so we targeted young professionals and students in our innovation challenge, and this event was a unique opportunity for them to present their ideas about a competitive future inland waterway transport system. The Innovation Challenge was a unique opportunity for students and young professionals to present their ideas about a future competitive inland waterway transportation system. For Bremen Ports, it was very important within the scope of IWTS 2.0 to raise awareness about inland shipping.
The Maritime Academy in Harlingen is mainly focusing on the education and training of young people who decided to become a professional in the field of inland navigation, whether as a skipper or a deckhand. In this sense, one of the main contributions of the Institute for the IWTS 2.0 project is a development of training courses for these target groups. We developed two training courses, one for management level, meaning future skippers, and one for operational level, meaning future deckhands. Both of these courses are designed to facilitate efficient and safe navigation on smaller waterways with smaller vessels. Both courses are designed to
last for 5 days or 1 school week. The course consists out of 26 contact hours, of which the first part, 12 contact hours, are dedicated for theoretical education, and the second part, again 12 hours, is practical education, which will be conducted on our simulator. The last 2 hours will be held on the Friday, which will be the examination day. So everyone doing this course will get a certificate afterwards.
For Brainports, it was very important within the scope of IWTS 2.0 to raise awareness for inland waterway transportation amongst shippers and future logistics decision makers. Modal shift is mindshift, so we targeted students and future logistics decision makers in our events, and the Innovation Challenge proved to be a unique opportunity for our target groups to present their ideas about a competitive inland waterway transportation system. The Innovation Challenge was a unique opportunity for students and young professionals to pitch their ideas about a future competitive inland waterway transportation system.
Yeah, and we just received a question from Jan Smalleganger, our colleague from Rotterdam. Jan, could you please tell us a little bit more about the potential in the UK specifically? And then the short behind it is CRT, is obviously Canal and River Trust.
I do, with pleasure. Hi, Jan. Yes, the United Kingdom has, of course, a very rich tradition in inland navigation. If you look at the extensive network of perspective now very small waterways for narrow boats, which helped the Industrial Revolution to come off the ground some 200 years ago. So literally everything was transported over the water back then. This network fall into a bit of a disrepair in the last years or last decades. There are only some waterways with the potential to become a waterway that can accommodate freight vessels. One of them is, of course, the Thames River through London, which is also conducting numerous projects where they use barges to transport goods over the water. Our focus was the Aire and Calder navigation, a network of the rivers Aire and Calder and some canals that connect these rivers spanning from the Humber estuary to Leeds in central England. This waterway can theoretically accommodate a CMT Class 2 vessels, but not quite, because some locks are just a bit too small. And what we did in this project was to see if it's possible to tweak these locks just a little bit to be able to accommodate somewhat larger vessels. And the first pilot projects are actually running with dredged sand and gravel from the Humber estuary to Leeds. But other goods can be transported as well, but that's where we started with, or that's where the Canal River Trust started with. Technical issue. Please stay tuned. We carry on in just a sec.
With Tesco BV as partner of IWTS 2.0 and Greenwave Urban Transports, we built an emission-free cargo barge, which is specialized for city distribution and sailing on the smallest waterways. When we have it about emission-free, we really mean 100% emission-free. the propulsion, and the thrusters are only driven by a battery pack, and this enables us for sailing 10 hours a day. During developing and the building phase, we found out that the regulations are described in such a way that you can quickly discuss the details with the shipyard. The Greenwave, with a length of almost 15 meters long, is so constructed that it can be managed easily by one person, and only a small sailing license is required. After the launch in October 2020, we went on a tour through the Netherlands. We visited many cities to present the municipalities and companies the possibilities of waterway logistics by the Greenwave. During our tour, we learned also a lot about the behaviors of the casco and the propulsion of the Greenwave. At this moment, the Greenwave is sailing in the city of Ghent. We are very curious if the Greenwave can succeed the challenges of the city of Ghent with her low bridges and water level.
My name is Staffan Schörling. I'm a naval architect at SSPA. I've been heavily involved in the development of a concept of an electric propelled container vessel. The vessel we developed at SSPA is intended for an inland waterway route between the port of Gothenburg and Trollhättan. The aim of the development was to investigate if it would be possible to ship containers with a pure electric powered ship. The route between Gothenburg and Trollhättan is 50 nautical miles. Along this route, ships have to pass 6 locks. These locks set the maximum size of the vessel: 88 meters in length and 13.5 meters in width. The aim was for the vessel to make 5 return trips per week. The vessel we designed had the maximum length and width according to the size of the locks. The size allows for transport of 160 TEU containers. The large cargo hold is meant for containers, but can also be used for loading timber or grain. Our idea was to design a simple ship with low energy consumption. So, loading and unloading of containers will need to be made using cranes and ports. The vessel is designed with a wheelhouse at the bow. This provides a low profile, which allows the vessel to pass under the lowest bridges without having to stop for bridge openings. Crew compartments are arranged below the wheelhouse. The engine room is located in the aft, where you also can find the batteries. The batteries are stored in a separate room at the aft end of the container hold. The vessel is designed to be able to keep the maximum allowed speed of 10 knots. With 2 large, slow-rotating propellers, this will be possible with 2 600 kilowatt electric engines. The power for the electric engines is provided with an unusually large battery pack. A total amount of 6,000 kilowatt hours of batteries are needed for one trip from Gothenburg to Trollhättan. The batteries can be recharged while the vessel is unloaded and loaded in port. The engine room is also fitted with a diesel generator. This generator is not supposed to be used in ordinary traffic, but can be used to extend the vessel's range if the vessel has to go further than the planned route. Our study has shown that it is possible to transport a large number of containers for long distances using only electric power. This is a pure zero-emission transport solution competitive with ordinary road transport.
So this is the moment actually for the Q&A. We are here in the studio in Harlingen. We are very interested in hearing from you. If there are any specific things you would like us to highlight, are there any things we didn't talk about yet which you would like to get into this broadcast? So please let us know in the chat. I see a question here already, and we could actually maybe go there straight on, Jorn. And in the meantime, just think about your questions because we take them very seriously, obviously. So there are some new questions coming in now. Hans is asking, why is it so difficult to start with IWT operations in Sweden?
I guess I'm the one who has to answer this again. I don't know if it's a problem in Sweden in general. We are working with SSPA. SSPA is looking at the Goethe-Alf. We just heard it in the presentation. A 50 kilometers stretch of water from Gothenburg to the Lake Vänern. This waterway is actually perfectly capable of for navigating with inland barges. The locks are 89 meters long. They're wide enough. The waterway is deep enough, so you can go with a standard 86-meter vessel from, let's say, the Netherlands, because we have them. You can go there and use them as is, no problem whatsoever. What's kind of an issue is that this waterway is still classified as a maritime waterway. So all IMO rules and regulations apply there. There is a pilotage system in place. So every vessel traversing this waterway has to take a pilot on board who is quite expensive. There are waterway fees that have to be paid, also quite expensive. So the regulations as there are now are, I wouldn't say they are prohibitive for inland navigation on the Goethe-Alf, but they have a tendency to make it somewhat annoying. That's the main issue there. Vendela, you may school me if I told something wrong here.
Thank you. Peter, are there any more questions?
There is another question, and I was also busy with the latest question. One moment. The question came from Annemieke, and will low water...
Geen geluid? Okay. So I take it over from you for a second because the mic is not working properly. You were highlighting the question of Annemieke?
Yes, I will highlight it.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes. Will lower water levels in inland waterways during long periods with dry weather have an impact on the future of inland waterways transport in the North Sea region? So who wants to answer this question? Robert? Jorn?
I think, Jorn, you are more the expert than I am. Sorry.
So it's kind of a one-man show here. Short answer again, yes, of course. But to be quite honest, I think there will be more severe problems on the larger rivers that we have, because alongside the North Sea region, especially in Friesland, the waterways are usually the canals and rivers that are regulated by locks. So if you have a waterway that's regulated by locks, differences in water level are not that much of a problem. They can become a problem if drought periods are so elongated that there is too little water to cope for the loss. So yes, waterways can become too shallow if we have elongated droughts.
Yes. And then there is another question from Martin van Dijk. And I don't know if he's talking about a specific ship or a specific concept or whatever, but the question is, of course, about batteries and capacity. It's not a very specific question, but Jorn, I'm not sure if you can...
I only can say that depends. The vessel that was developed by SSPA has, of course, a much larger capacity than the Green Wave. I'm looking at Peter because Peter is our technical guy.
Yes. Well, I'll speak up.
Yeah.
Staffan from SSPA has answered the question. We didn't specify the battery type, but load charging range could be used. A total amount of about 6,000 kilowatt hour capacity. So that's the answer, and the type was not specified.
So we'll give you now 2-3 minutes just to think if there are any more questions. You can just ask them right now. And if you don't have questions, but you feel like taking a sip of your tea or coffee, you're very welcome. And please return or ask a question, because After this 2 minutes question break, we'll dive into the future, which is as important, of course, as the past, or maybe more important. What will be the future of this project? Will there be an IWTS 3.0? So relax for 2-3 minutes, ask your questions, take your coffee, and then return. It's 55 now, 5 to 3. So let's continue 2 minutes before 3. So we have 3 minutes now. Thank you. So there we are back. We got some new questions. And first of all, I have to tell you, sorry for the 2 microphones which were not working for Peter, our chat moderator. But we have a 3rd one and a 4th and a 100th one. So let's see if it's working now. And Peter, what kind of new questions do we have?
Yeah, we just received a question from Katarina. What is the added value of the barge Greenwave for cities such as Ghent? And probably not only Ghent, but also, for instance, a city like Leiden or Amsterdam. Robert, would you maybe have an answer for that?
Yes, well, first of all, I'd like to mention that the Greenwave was the product of a transnational development. It was basically developed in the Netherlands by the ship owner Tesco and its engineers, but also SSPA participated, and also the Ghent partners like the Groot Houburken and Belgium engineers participated all in the development of this excellent electric ship. And well, it's really a relevant ship for the small waterways in Ghent, but also in Utrecht or Amsterdam or whatever, where the waterways are small. The draft is quite low. It can load and unload pallets by itself. You don't damage the roads. And you have, of course, much less pollution because it's all electric. And in this case, one of the future perspectives is that the ship will be loaded by the roofs of the Groot Houburken, the company for building materials, with solar energy, and then it's 100% emission neutral. Hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Great. So when the green wave is going to Ghent, and actually it can charge via sun cells, sun energy.
It's in the future. It's planned.
Yes.
The roof has already the solar panels, but the connection with the green wave must be made still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clear. Thank you. Do we have any more questions, Peter?
Yes, I'm trying to sort it a little bit.
Yes.
Because it clogs up a little bit. We have a question from Hans, and his question was that we were speaking about possible new IWTS project. What could be the specific topics of such a project? And then very shortly after that, we also got the question, basically the same question, but then from Katrina, and she was asking if we're looking for new partners. Jun, could you maybe tell a little bit more about...
You're looking at me again. Yes, we are actually actively planning a follow-up project, which we did not yet apply for, because the call is not yet open for the upfollowing Interreg NSR funding period. But our idea is to move a bit away from just the small waterways. Our core message will remain, of course, modal shift. What we would like to include in future projects, or in a future project, is we would like to look into electric propulsion and greening, but also into automation and digitalization. I will not say that we will look into autonomous vessels. That's probably, at the moment at least, very ambitious, but probably something comes up along a new project. But yes, we are currently planning an IWTS 3.0, and if you have ideas, if you think this was a good one and we can start an IWTS 3.0 with you as a partner, please feel to contact us. We would be happy.
Thank you, Jorn, and it's good to remember you to remind you that after this Q&A, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the future of this project, and Robert van Hasselt will also talk about this a bit more. And of course, most of the questions now are about the future. Peter, are there any more questions?
Yeah, I got another question from Ellie. Which information of the waterway administrations is interesting for the logistics side? And then the key word behind that is synchromodality.
Again, so I'm not a logistics expert, but I somewhat came to be through this project. For most users of inland waterways as a transport, as a meaning of transport, interesting is the capacity of, let's say, a quayside. The question is which kind of goods can be transshipped there? Are there transshipment fees? Are there fairway fees to get there? So it's a mix of facts looking into the navigability of a waterway or a port, the accessibility of a transshipment site, and connected costs with the use of transshipment sites and equipment that is necessary there.
Peter.
Well, then I think we currently have answered all questions.
Yes, okay. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for all the questions. We keep them, so if there's one question not answered, it will be answered later on. Now we're talking about the future already, very specific questions about the future. Let's go live now in the studio to Robert van Hasselt, and he will take a look in the future, what will happen from now on. Robert.
Yes, well, thank you. I would like with you to go to a little bit in a co-creative process. Well, we are limited because it's still a digital meeting and not physical, which would have been much nicer, of course. But we'll try to do and ask some questions to get an idea what the audience is thinking about the future. And happily, maybe we will apply for a new project. We will start with the Slido with a ranking poll. If Peter can start it. The question is, can you reset? Key to increase inland waterway transport from road to water needs. More and faster integration of new technologies. Automated sailing. Awareness amongst logistic managers about inland waterway opportunities. A level playing field financially by taxing and incentivizing emission savings. So you can rank them, you have to answer all the questions, and we will see where is the focus on, what should we start, what will be the priorities. So please start filling in. Let's see if more questions, answers will come in. I think so. We have more people in the audience, so hope everybody understands. Slido. If you miss Slido, you can always enter by going to the Slido site and enter IWTS in capitals. Well, we can already see some output, which I think it's a very interesting one, because we see that the awareness amongst logistic managers about inland waterway opportunities is one of the most important things mentioned. Well, I think that's really true, and you can speak about all technologies that needs to be developed and so on, but it's also very important to start with the logistic managers. We know it in the education field. In the logistic field, there's hardly any curriculum for waterway transport included, which is one of the causes, simple causes why it doesn't happen. Well, is there no more people filling in at the moment? Still a level playing field by taxing and incentivizing emission savings is coming up. Yeah, that would be great if a municipality could tax the transport by lorries and high emissions, if a waterway transport option would be greener. And then we have on the third place, more and faster integration of new technologies. And the less important is automated sailing. Quite interesting, because everybody's speaking about it. However, we cannot ask for feedback from the audience, I think. Jön. Jön, do you have any idea why automated sailing is on the fourth place?
No, I don't have any idea why automated sailing is on the fourth place. It is one of the very hot topics in inland navigation right now. Yeah, you found me.
No, I just.
In a loss for words.
Well. Okay. Well, then we have these outcomes and we will keep them in mind. And thank you, Jön.
You're welcome.
Awareness raising, at least amongst logistic managers, should be very important. The Bremen ports already knows that, and they have some trainings about them. Then we'll go to the next one, and that's a word cloud poll. Peter, can you start the word cloud? And here we have an interesting one. You can give answers like, give the money to me to be retired or whatever, but the question is, what if you could spend 5 million in transnational cooperation, I mean really transnational, to innovate inland waterway transport? What if? So use your imagination and make your mental shift and produce the modal shift. Just put in words, do a brainstorm, and let's see what word cloud is emerging right now. What if you could spend 5 million to increase inland waterway transport? Automated sailing. Virtual academy, stakeholder collaboration. Okay. The Schelde Shuttle, a Belgium initiative. Automated green sailing even. Yeah. So use your imagination. Maybe you have some out-of-the-box ideas you can include here. Facilitating transshipment. What about, yeah. Just wait 1 minute and see if more answers will come in. I don't see any actions to raise awareness amongst politicians and policymakers. IWT hackathon. IWT lectorate. Well, that's one of the things we are thinking about. Maybe European Inland Waterway lectorate would be very interesting, and North Sea Region lectorate, because the inland waterway transport has not really a good focus where they could work amongst. CO2 savings transparency. That's the one that gives quite the most. Yeah. There is a validation program in the Netherlands about CO2 saving transparency.
Marketing also comes up twice.
Marketing?
Yeah, there is an advertisement campaign and also a marketing inland waterway.
Yeah, an expanded TEN-T network. I mean, that's the comprehensive network, the small waterways, that should be improved. Yeah, I think this is some nice input to use when we write a new application for IWTS number 3.
Wow.
Marketing. Yeah. Well, I think we have more or less enough. You can still go on with leaving your words. We can make an export about the outcomes of these polls and send it to you. We will finish with one ranking poll. Peter, if you could end this one and start the next ranking poll. How would you prioritize inland waterway transport innovative solutions aiming at green multimodal transport? So some solutions are meant here. You can score them all. So it's automated sailing, green electric propulsion, but start with the most important one, and the order will be organized by Slido itself. Green electric propulsion, biofuel-based propulsion, improve smaller waterways, logistic tools that select greenest modalities. There it's meant also open marketplaces forwarding goods, certification of alternative propulsion systems, increase awareness amongst EU national policy decision makers. Well, just curious. I only see 6 options in the... And we have 10. Why is that?
There is... it only shows the first 6 options, and then if one of those bottom options becomes more, it automatically comes up.
I see 7.
Yeah. So, hope everybody understands the question. Please fill in all options and the order will be made by Slido. It looks like as if the improved smaller waterways is scoring quite high. Building logistics tools to select the greenest modalities. Oh, it's now going to number 1. That's interesting. It's still changing, so awareness amongst policymakers and decision makers. Politicians also scores quite high. That could be good to include in the North Sea Region Interact project. Certification of alternative propulsion systems. Always a huge challenge if you want to change something and green your transport.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Jörn, do you have something to add when you look at this? Is there something coming on your mind? What triggers your imagination?
The certification of alternative propulsion systems is, in fact, one thing that's on our heart at this moment in time, because we have currently a vessel in our fleet that is equipped with a hydrogen fuel cell powered drivetrain, and the certification of this vessel is not running very smooth, to be quite frank. It has to do with actually a lack of regulations. Nobody really knows what to certificate and how to certify such a vessel. So even if you want to be innovative, you want to be the cutting edge in this field, there are a lot of obstacles to overcome to reach zero emission. For this instance, it's about hydrogen-powered zero emission. That's something that's on my heart very much at this moment in time.
Okay, thank you, Jörn. Well, we are almost at the end of the program. Well, having said that, I think I would like to say I still miss the partners who are in Sweden, the UK, Belgium and Germany, and in the Netherlands. It should be good to be together. We missed you. We had to do it all alone, but we would have liked to do it with you. But please keep in mind that this is a product of all the partners in IWTS. We hope to meet you soon, and I'll end by this, and I'll give the word to Bert again. Thank you.
Thank you for all the answers of this interactive part. Thank you, Robert. And I see here our very special guest. He asked us, please give me 1 minute, just a little bit in the end of the broadcast, because I have something special. Nobody knows what will happen from here on, but here he is, Arjen Mintjes.
Yeah, thank you, Bert. Well, we have come to the end of this meeting almost. We will spend a little bit more time chatting with ourselves and with our partners. But at this moment, I really want to thank all the partners involved in this project. We worked together for many years. We have seen each other, but last year, due to the COVID pandemic, it was almost impossible to see each other. So we had a lot of conferences online. We had a lot of meetings. But I still remember the places we have been, in Gothenburg, in Manchester, and so on and so on. And I was a little bit surprised by the way we worked together all, also with the Interact Secretariat in Viborg. It was done very smoothly, it was done very good, and therefore I really have to thank all the partners, but especially my team here in Harlingen, who made it possible, who did all their best to cooperate, to bring in contact all those partners, to solve certain problems within the project. And they will stay until the end, because the project not really ends now, it's just the end conference. So therefore, I brought some beautiful flowers for the whole project team. Please bring them in. And in a real life situation, we would have done the same. Okay, well, this is for our project leader, Jörn. For our international contact person, Robert.
Thank you.
The man behind the screens, Peter.
Thank you very much.
And of course, our moderator, Bert.
Thank you.
And now, for the first and only time in history, our technician, Ben. He is never in the spotlight, but I will give this to him.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Jeanette, come forward. You only heard her voice, but she did a lot of work. This is Jeanette. I really want to thank you all, and especially an applause from my side, for my team, doing all the hard work, working day and night, and doing their utmost best. Thank you all, visitors.
But ladies and gentlemen, please don't leave yet, because we have a small virtual surprise for you. Of course, what we would do now in a normal situation is coming together and meet each other, chat, have nice creative new ideas, and have a drink. Now, this is kind of impossible right now, but we have a second best. We created a virtual surrounding, a virtual place called Topia. And we can ask Peter to put this link now in the chat. And it's like a kind of a place where you can just walk, you get an avatar, and then you're in, you walk, you chat with people you like. Or if you chat with people you want to chat with, it's better to say like this. So please go to the, click on the link, go to Topia, and everybody who's here in the studio, they will go there as well. And it's really a good way just to speak a little bit further, a little bit less formal way, to have a little bit of fun and to use your creativity. So click on the link, Topia, and there you go. Everybody here goes to Topia as well. And we meet in a few minutes from now on in Topia, and that will be the small after party. So I want to thank you very much for listening, for being with us here in Harlingen. And I'm quite sure that we're all looking forward very much for the next broadcast somewhere in the future, and also to meet in reality for IW2S 3.0. Thank you very much for watching. See you in Topia.